And coming back to our Alekhine series, this time we're going to be taking a look at game, one of my favorites, the early kick-around variation. And I play the line that I recommend in my text. It's not a favorite of the engine. In this case, the engine's a big fan of taking and going for this type of line where, I mean, of course the engine loves this. You got a bishop that's terrible on c8, but you got a pawn in hand. The engine's like, yeah, I'm going to survive. I'm going to be better. My human eyes go, that's a lot of time. From a practical standpoint, I personally would prefer white. But that's another option here. But I'm a fan of this plan of overprotection with c6. And we see the main line with knight e4, where the c-pawn is being protected. Now, it's a good question, how are we going to complete development here? Because it seems like white is gripping a lot of key squares. And our c8 bishop is terrible. Much like in the French defense, it is screaming, can I play? Can I play? And I'm going to answer, absolutely, sir. You can play. We're going to go b6 immediately with that idea of going bishop a6 to get that bishop that was useless only a moment ago, offering to trade for white's strong counterpart. And in the meantime, we're placing some pressure on c5. So d4, clip, clip, and bishop a6 straight away, saying, would you like to trade the bad one? He says no. Well, I'm not interested in trading on your terms. I'm interested in trading on my terms. If you'd have taken, I'd have been a happy guy. Now if I take you, my knight's going to have to move off of d5. Not a fan of that. So I need to finish development. And I find a nice little tactical sequence here, starting with bishop takes c5. And after takes, check, hitting both the knight and providing check. Basic double attack. And now on queen e2, the position's a bit different. I need to defend my bishop on a6, and the way to do it in the most aggressive way possible is take. And now knight b4. And even though we are retreating, so to speak, we're making a threat when doing it. That's how we can keep the tempo. That's how we can keep attacking and maintain momentum. So bishop e3, our opponent does the same thing. But again, ask the question, how can we be nettlesome? How can we be annoying? What's a move that is, even though we're retreating, we can keep pressure? Hopefully you found queen takes e5. Because again, we're taking a pawn and at the same time putting the question to that rook. Now rook b1. So our knight is under attack. How can we handle it? These are the types of questions that you should ask as a chess player, because my thought process is we have a problem. How many given ways are there to solve the problem? The difference in mastery in chess is your ability to solve a problem. In this case, we could push the pawn to c5 to defend the knight. The knight could retreat, or we could use a piece that's not doing anything currently and defend the knight. I'm a big fan of development, so let's get that time. And when he goes a3, now here is a critical moment. Say, for instance, the not backing down plan would be queen c3 check, followed by knight c2. That way, we're again making a threat, and it goes right with the tempo of the game. Now in the main game, I found a different move. Queen f5. Same principle. Hitting the rook. You take my knight, I take your rook with check. Keep going. And at the same time, my knight, in conjunction with the queen, is looking at both the c2 and d3 squares. So rook b3. And I get to the same sort of theme as what the engine first choice was with queen c3. Not losing any time. And we're going to go ahead and castle. Rook b8 was definitely more in the spirit of the position, but we begin to see my style as a chess player stick out here. Because Rook b8, it'd be going for the win and the open king. But me, I'm just happy to trade down, take the ending, and win effortlessly. So Rook e5, check. Oh, you'll trade? I mean, normal people, queen takes c4. Me, sure, in game it is, buddy. Because it's nothing but pain. That's all you'll find. If you give me one more move, I play Rook b1, and your rook's trapped in forever. d4. Well, let's go ahead and get d5 in for the fun of it. Rook b2, hitting a base pawn, constantly making threats, constantly placing pressure. h4, get a look for the king, prevent your knight from going to g5, don't have to worry about f7 getting weaker later. Looking for potentially rook c4 mate and the like. Well, not immediate mate, but the theme. He's running. And we're kicking him all around here. Pressure, pressure, pressure. No time to continue his attack. He must retreat. And the best way to play is when your opponent's attacking you, you hit them harder than they hit you. So let's go ahead and go for the net here. Takes. So I wanted to keep my pawn structure intact. Remember, pawns are better when they're brothered or paired together in a chain than broken and isolated. So rook takes a3. Another one bites the dust. And now the only potential way that I could lose this game is if white somehow got his knight to f6. So he is working for this, and that's typically how I perceive positions. I want to go, well, first of all, how can I drop this game? And if I can prevent that, worst case scenario, it's a draw. Everything else I win. Knight e4, stop that. Now on rook b1, check. The rook drops, and that's the end of this one. So if you're enjoying the Alekhine series in progress, you can definitely take a look at Alekhine's Defense, The Dark Knight Rises on Chessable. It is easily a go-to opening for me for many years, and I enjoy playing it. Still actively play it, as we'll see in further games. They will definitely get better from here. This is one of the first ones that I was okay with the overall evaluation from start to finish. But I think so far in the series, we've seen the resilience of the opening.